Hey everyone, it's William with Scamming Scammers Action, and we're gonna do our Valentine's Week Q&A. Had a lot of you guys write in and ask if we were gonna do a Q&A for Valentine's Day, and I figured it's about 4 days away from Valentine's Day where I'm at, so figured we could do a Q&A tonight. Just gonna make it a shorter one than usual, and then we'll be back at the end of the month, the last Monday of February, to do our normal monthly Q&A. So. Thanks to everyone who decides to join us tonight. I'll let a few people get into the chat, and then I'll start the Q&A. We had a lot of great questions tonight that people have asked, and a lot of them are Valentine's related, and a lot of them are romance scam related tonight. So we're going to go through some of the questions, and then if you guys have questions, as always, you can ask them in the chat, and I'll try to respond as soon as I can. So thanks again for everyone for joining us, and we'll get started. I wanted to address a couple of things. A lot of you guys have been asking how Anna's doing. Just want to let you guys know she's doing better. She is on the page. She does work the page pretty much every day. So you either get her or me in the inbox, but she's doing well. She's getting better. It's a slow recovery, but she's a lot better than she was a year ago. So thanks for all your well wishes for her. She wanted me to let you guys know that she really appreciates it. Hi, Peggy. Hi, everybody that's coming in to the Q&A. Appreciate you guys being here. I did this kind of later. It's 9 o'clock at night where I'm at, and I realize that a lot of people in America it's after midnight. So our next Q&A will be on the last Monday. I believe it's the 24th of February. We'll be doing one, and it'll be a little bit earlier in the evening so that you guys don't have to stay up in the middle of the night to watch it. So thanks for everyone joining us. We got a lot of great questions. Hey, Kathy. Hi, everybody that's joining us. First question I want to start off with was something that someone brought up about scammers and where they come from. So I had a person on our YouTube channel who wrote and said, you know, that accused me of being a racist and said, you guys only feature African scammers. And the truth is we don't. We feature scammers that come from all over. But unfortunately, what is happening is a lot of the scammers do come from Nigeria. They do come from Ghana. They do come from West Africa. And every scammer that we feature on our videos has been caught scamming. And I give an example. If we have 500 people write to us over a weekend, 90% of the scammers that are doing the romance scams are unfortunately from Nigeria or in a West African country. And so that's why our videos do have a lot of African scammers. It's the nature of what we do as far as romance scams. A lot of West African scammers, they do romance scams. Now, there's scammers all over the world, and we know this. But a lot of the ones that do particularly just fake profiles and romance scams are from that part of the world. If we were doing a page that featured, you know, credit card skimming scammers or you know, fraud scammers in that kind of nature, banking scammers, you'd have a lot of Russians, you'd have a lot of Polish, you'd have a lot of people from those countries. But the nature of it is we deal with majority is romance scams. And so when we deal with romance scams, we do get a lot of West Africans. So that's why there are a lot of West African scammers in our videos. With that being said, there's scammers that do this in India and Pakistan as well and other Middle Eastern countries. But to anyone that, you know, has an issue with the videos we make, and as far as having a lot of Africans in the videos, you know, if you know a scammer that's from a different country that's scamming and you can prove it, show evidence, bring me their photo, I'm happy to add them to the video. But unfortunately, a lot of the scammers do come from Nigeria that do romance scams. With that being said, though, I want to bring up an issue really quick. A lot of people say a lot of hateful things about Nigerians, and I want to say that not all Nigerians are scammers. There's a lot of very intelligent, wonderful people from Nigeria, from Ghana, from a lot of West African countries that are very intelligent and don't scam. So please don't lump every Nigerian person in with being a scammer, because that's just stupid on your part to do that. So I just want to address that real quick because someone brought it up on our YouTube channel, and I'll say this for Anna and myself: we're far from racist people. I have friends from all over the world, from every ethnicity, every background. So we're going to start off after addressing that, and I will answer your questions in the chat if you have any. There's a question that was asked just tonight, and it was kind of interesting because we have a notes section on our page that tells you how to look out for scammers and fake profiles. But the question was, how could I really tell if a person who sends me a friend request is real or fake? What's a fast way to tell? And it's actually a great question because, you know, when you've been doing this for so long, like Anna and myself can look at a fake profile, we'll know it's fake. We just go, yeah, that's fake. or no, it's not fake. If you're new and you're getting friend requests from people and you're not sure, what I tell people, if you Google the photo, a lot of times nothing comes up. And Google image search is not the best and most reliable place to look and search a photo. A lot of times it'll come up with nothing. And it used to be a great site to use, but now it's not. Yandex.com is really great as well. But what if you get a friend request from somebody and you don't know if they're fake or not? You check their photo and nothing comes up. So the best thing you can do, really quick and easy, look at the photo, look at what the person is telling you. Are they in the military? Are they deployed? Are they a doctor? Are they an engineer? Like I tell people, real military men have hundreds of military friends, both male and female. So if you're talking to somebody online, they send you a friend request, and let's say it's a military man, and you look and he's got 2 or 3 photos and maybe 1 or 2 likes and maybe 1 or 2 women writing, "Oh, you're handsome," or "Hello." It's more than likely a fake, because a real military man is going to have tons and tons of military friends. He's going to have tons of likes on his photos. He's going to have commentary on his photos, and he's going to have more information on it. It's not going to be just two photos and then a photo of a bouquet of flowers. That's always a scam profile, and that goes the same for doctors and engineers and wealthy, successful businessmen. They're going to have a lot of friends. They're going to have a lot of likes. They're going to have a lot of commentary on their photos, and you don't have to friend somebody to see what their photos say. You can click on their profile photo and see if it's got commentary on it. And if it's got tons of comments and people, talking back and forth about their job or about their life, and you're looking at a military profile and he's got 75 likes on his photo and 25 different guys that are military as well talking on the photo and making commentary, then it's likely a real person. But again, keep in mind, and as we've said this a million times, real military men don't send unsolicited friend requests to strange women. It just doesn't work that way. They're not lonely out in Afghanistan looking for love. So if you're getting friend requests from military men and they have 1 or 2 likes on their photos and they have maybe 1 or 2 women saying hello, it's a scam profile. Always easy to tell. Takes you a few minutes to look. You'll know the truth. So hope that answers your question. Hello to everyone who's joining the chat. I see all you guys coming in. Really appreciate you showing up. I did this Q&A at a little bit later time, so I'm hoping a lot of our friends in Europe, it's morning for you, so you can join us. So the next question we have, and these are like Valentine's, some of these are Valentine's related questions. I'm talking to a man online, and he wants to send me candy and flowers for Valentine's Day. So I gave him my address, but he refuses to video chat and claims to be deployed to Syria. Why or how, if he's a scammer, would he spend his money to send me things? That's a great question. First of all, I will say this, and I've said this a million times, men deployed to Syria are not chatting with you online. It doesn't work that way. Secondly, if someone won't video chat with you, it's a huge red flag, because we have video chat abilities on phones, tablets, laptops, computers. Everybody has a camera on their phone. Everyone has a camera somewhere. So that's a huge red flag if someone refuses to video chat or won't video chat with you. As far as sending you candy, flowers, teddy bears, here's what's happening. A scammer will use a stolen credit card to go online and purchase candy, flowers, a gift, whatever, from any website. It could be from Amazon. It could be from your local florist. They will use a stolen credit card, or they'll use a gift card that was given to them by another victim, and they will buy you flowers, and they will send those flowers to your house. They'll buy you candy. They'll have it sent to your house. It's not bought with the scammer's own money. It is bought with a stolen credit card or a gift card obtained from a victim. And what they do is they send these gifts to victims to try and butter them up and try to make them seem believable. And then down the road, they're going to ask you for something. So let's say if a scammer spends $50 in a gift card that was obtained from another victim on you, they might ask you for $1,000. So they're trying to butter you up. They're trying to gain your trust. They're trying to say, well, I sent you flowers. You could help me with this $500 help that I need, or $1,000 that I need for whatever reason. So what it comes down to is being safe online and video chatting with people. Ask them to video chat with you. And when you're on video chat with them, ask them to do something. I've said this a million times. Have them Write your name on paper, hold it up next to their face, have them stand up and pat themselves on the back, have them do something that shows that they are really legitimate and they're on video and it's not a video recording. And keep in mind, like, you're talking to somebody online and you've never met them, you hardly know them, you've been talking to them for a week or 2 weeks, don't give them your address. I mean, the scammer's not going to show up at your house, but you wouldn't give a stranger on the street your address. So why do you give people on the internet your address? I mean, think of it this way. If you're, you know, at Walmart or at a shopping center and somebody walks up to you and says, hey, can I have your address? I want to send you some candy. You wouldn't give it. So don't do it online. It's the same principle, and I've said this a million times. It is the exact same principle. Don't give out your information to people that you don't know in person, that you haven't met. It's very dangerous. So I hope that answers your question. And if the person doesn't video chat, something's very, very, very wrong. The next question, I just got a huge bouquet of flowers from a local florist, and they're from a man I've been talking to online. The flowers are worth at least $100 or more. Again, why would a scammer send flowers and the card is signed with his name, but when I called my local florist, they said the man with a different name bought them, and they wouldn't give me his information, only his first name. How can this person, if he's fake, order flowers from my local florist? Is he in my town, and should I be worried? This comes down to, again, first of all, I'll say, no, he's not in your town. The scammer is likely in another country, thousands of miles, thousands of kilometers away from you. What they do is they use, like I said, a stolen credit card. They go online to places like 1-800-flowers.com or, florist.com. And on these websites, they enter your zip code. So you've given this man your address, obviously. He's entered your zip code online, your mailing address. And what it does is they order flowers online with a stolen credit card, stolen gift card, whatever. That florist site takes your mailing address, and they have bought the flowers, and they send it to the nearest florist that's closest to you. That florist goes ahead and picks up the order, and then they deliver it to you. So all that is 1-800-Flowers. You can go online, you can enter someone's address, you can buy flowers for them, and it'll send it to whatever city they're in, to their local florist. That local florist picks it up and sends it. And again, with this one, if it's a different name that purchased the flowers than the person that you're actually talking to, it's more than likely that it was a stolen credit card that was used, and whatever the person's name on that credit card was what they put for the sender, and then he went ahead and signed his fake name on the card or whatever. I wouldn't, there's nothing much you can do. I mean, he has your address, but it's more than likely a scammer, and I would block. I wouldn't accept any more mail, packages, or anything from this person, because obviously they're being bought with stolen credit cards, and that can add to a lot of issues, Sue, what can scammers do with your address, birthday, etc.? It depends. If depends on how much you've given them. If you've just given them your first and last name and your address and birth date, they can try and sign you up for packages, and you might end up getting packages that are stolen from Amazon, ordered with stolen credit cards. We had a lady that gave her name, address, and phone number and birth date to a scammer, and about 2 months later, she ended up getting all these packages from different delivery companies, and it was stolen goods that were shipped to her house. They can't do a whole lot with that, but if you've given them like your driver's license, a copy of your driver's license, your passport, if you've given them your social security number and your full name and address and birth date, they can try and open accounts online with your name. They can open up credit accounts, they can open up phone accounts, online bank accounts. They can use your ID to open up fake profiles, and then when Facebook asks for them to verify who they are, they just send in your ID and boom, it's a verified profile. So it depends on how much you've given them, and if they have your social security number, if they have your passport number, you have personal information, your maiden name and things like that, it's possible they can open a credit card account in your name, and they can open up online bank accounts in your name. You won't even know you have it, and then they'll start filtering money from victims and filtering stolen money. If you've given them that information, my advice to you would be to call the Federal Trade Commission, put a freeze on your credit, so that anytime someone tries to open a credit card or something in your name, it shows up and they have to ask permission from you directly first before they'll open that account. So it just depends on what you've given them. And again, if you've given them your ID, they more than likely will open fake profiles in your name on dating sites and things like that. And then when they have to verify it, they send your ID. So, and Sue, when you're ready to tell your story, take your time. We're always here, and you can remain anonymous as well. So, next question we have is, do you ever think that sometimes maybe people just need financial help, and not everyone who asks for money is a scammer? Maybe some people just need the help. Well, of course, we all need financial help here and there. I need financial help, but I don't ask people on the internet for it. Sure, not everyone is a scammer. But at the end of the day, you have to put yourself in a situation where if you're talking to somebody online that you've never met in person and they're asking you for money, something's wrong. Normal people, and I'll give an example like myself. Sometimes I don't have enough money to make it through to payday. But I don't go on the internet and ask strangers for money. I don't go in person and ask people to give me money. I just deal with what I have. And if it gets really bad, you might ask a close personal friend in person, hey, can you loan me $20? But a normal, legit person is not going to go on the internet and ask strangers for money. It's just not going to happen. And like I said before, you have to treat it like in person. If you were standing at a bus stop and someone came up to you and said, hey, I need $100, give it to me, you tell them to go to hell. It should be the same way online. So yeah, there are people that need money, and there are legit people that are struggling. All of us struggle at one time or another in our lives. However, scammers go online and they ask strangers for money. They ask you for money and they tell you an excuse. So it depends on what they're telling you as well. If you're talking to somebody online and they say, I'm an engineer and I'm on an oil rig and my oil rig exploded and I need money for a part, it's a scammer. And what you do with your money is your business. If you want to give people money, hey, that's up to you. If you have money to give people, fine. But keep in mind, think twice, because normal people don't go online and tell you a sob story about their life saying, they're widowed with a kid and their kid's having surgery and they're in Afghanistan deployed and they need money. It's a scammer. It's always a scammer. I hope that answers your question. So next question we have is interesting, and we'll see what we get on here. I'm talking to a man online who says he will come home for Valentine's Day and take me to dinner. He said he's reserved dinner at a restaurant here in town for us. I called and they confirmed someone by his name has reserved reservations for Valentine's Day. The only problem is he has now asked me for $1,000 due to having to pay to leave the oil rig he's on in the Gulf to come and see me. If he's a scammer or fake, how could he reserve dinner in my hometown restaurant? First of all, I'll start by saying that real men on oil rigs don't pay to leave their oil rigs. They are flown off for free. So you're talking to a scammer. Secondly, I can call any restaurant in any place in the United States and probably anywhere in the world and reserve a table. You don't need a special document. You don't need a special ID. I can call any restaurant in my town right now and make Valentine's Day reservations. And I can even tell them my name is Bob Smith or Kelvin Smith or whatever. They just write the reservation down, take your information, and that's it. And if the scammer is using a free voicemail number, well, they can say, oh, here's my American phone number. I'm reserving a table for two. My name is Kelvin Smith. That's it. Anyone can make a reservation. So you're definitely talking to a scammer. The fact that he has asked you for money to leave the oil rig, it's a scammer. If you showed up at that restaurant, he would never show up. There's no such person by the name. It's probably a made-up name that he did. So people are really amazed how scammers can do things like make reservations or send flowers or anything. You can do any of that, and you can use a fake name. So that's likely what he did. I would advise you to block him. He will never show up, and it's definitely a scammer. So next question. Yeah, a lot of people are now coming online and they're pushing for Valentine's Day. Like, this is the week for scammers to push. And like I've told people before, keep in mind that when you're talking to somebody online, let's say you meet somebody tonight online and you friend them, and they're really cool and you're talking to them and you're clicking with them and you're connecting. If they tell you that they love you within the next 4 days, it's a scammer. Real people don't fall in love within a couple of days. Love takes time. It takes months of getting to know a person. It takes meeting. It takes a lot of things to start to feel love for a person. Scammers right now are pushing because they know Valentine's Day is coming, and they know a lot of people are lonely. They know a lot of people want to have a Valentine. And so they're pushing the love stuff. They're pushing the love poems, the love songs. They're sending a lot of those things, and then they're going to hit you up for money on or before Valentine's Day. We've had people telling us that they're getting hundreds of friend requests this week. And Valentine's Day is a lot like Christmas. During Christmas season, scammers will hit up people with friend requests and wanting to know you and all these things because they know a lot of people during the holidays are lonely, don't have family around, whatever, they don't have love, and they find it online. Same with Valentine's. Valentine's is a huge day for scammers, and they do that last push to get your money. So be very careful this week with friend requests. Be very careful with people you've been talking to online for the last month or couple weeks or whatever, all of a sudden wanting to love you, because it's likely a scammer. So, this next question is interesting, and I will say that we don't talk politics on our page. We never have. We never will. And is an Australian, and I just don't get into politics with people because it's so crazy right now in our country. But this question was interesting, and I wanted to add it to the list. So this question has a little bit of a political motive to it, but please don't argue about politics on this page. Do you think with Nigeria being on the travel ban due to the new U.S. policy that will stop scammers? No, it won't stop scammers. What it's going to do is likely stop some scammers from doing visa scams where they want to come to the U.S. and marry you. So if you have a scammer that is posing as himself and saying, I love you, I want to come be with you in the U.S., that might slow down. But as far as this new policy stopping scammers, no, because scammers they don't come from Nigeria to the U.S. and particularly scam as much as they just scam from their country. So if this policy, if anything, and I understand, kind of why they do it, but it's not going to stop scammers from scamming. It's going to actually just anger them more to where they scam more, because they're going to use it as an excuse to promote scamming, because they're going to say, hey, the United States, they hate us because we're Nigerian, so we're going to scam them for more money on the internet. And 90% of the scams occur online. They don't occur in person. So no, it's not going to change or stop people from scamming. It's actually going to fuel the fire for scammers to continue to do it online, and that's where most of the scams come from. So it's not a life-changing policy for stopping scammers. The only way to stop scammers, as I've said and as Ann said before, stop sending money. And when we stop sending money, and we stop sending gift cards, and we stop sending our credit information, and we stop opening bank accounts for people we've never met, that's when the scams will stop. But unfortunately, people still do it. And every day we get at least 10 people in our inbox that have sent thousands of dollars or that have given their bank information. And so unfortunately, it's not going to stop them. It's just going to fuel the fire. So, Barbara, how about guys who say they're in Vietnam for business? It's probably a scammer. And I will say this, a lot of scammers, and I've confirmed this with a lady that I know that was married to a Nigerian who was a scammer. There are a lot of scammers from West Africa, from Ghana, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, all that area. They go to Vietnam. They go to Vietnam on visas to work. They go on tourist visas. They go to Malaysia, Vietnam, Cambodia, all that whole part of Asia. And as well as in Greece and Italy, a lot of scammers come over from Nigeria and from different countries. And they'll work in Vietnam, and they'll scam from Vietnam. So if you're talking to somebody online and they say to you, I'm going to Vietnam for business, it's more than likely a scammer who is living and working in Vietnam. But now also there are Vietnamese scammers who do the same thing that West African scammers do. They romance scam, and they do it from their own country. Same with Thailand. There's a lot of romance scammers in Thailand. There's a ton of them in India, and in Malaysia and in Indonesia. So my advice, if you're talking to somebody online who says they're in Vietnam for business, they will more than likely have a crisis pretty soon, and they will say to you, I need money because I'm in Vietnam and there was a crisis. Can you send money? And that's definitely coming. Charlotte, Walmart is cracking down on people sending money to Nigeria and others. They are. And some Walmarts, and particularly my Walmart where I live, they actually absolutely refuse to wire money via MoneyGram to Nigeria and Ghana. both countries are banned from you sending money to there. So unfortunately, that doesn't stop the scammers, because what they do is they use Cash App, they use Bitcoin, they use Americans' bank accounts to filter money. So it kind of stops some scammers, but you have to understand that scammers will always find a way. So if you were to take away MoneyGram or Western Union, they'd find a different app. They'd find Cash App, they'd find Bitcoins, they'd find Venmo, they'd find another way to send the money. So they're always finding new ways. It'll never change with that. Barbara, this guy says he's from Atlanta, Georgia. Then he uses a phone number and then says he has a new text number from his dad. If he's working in Vietnam, I would be very suspicious. The numbers are probably free voicemail numbers. Also, keep in mind scammers, they will convince victims to let them into their Verizon account, and they'll order SIM cards and they'll order phones off of your account, and it'll give them a local phone number. And they have the phone shipped to other countries or wherever, and the SIM card shipped. So a lot of times people will tell me, it's not a free voicemail number. It's an actual real number from Verizon. And I tell you, well, yeah, what's their story? Oh, well, they're working in, Indonesia and they need money. And it's likely a scammer who got a SIM card or who got a phone off of a victim from their Verizon or their T-Mobile account. And that's what's happening. So keep that in mind. So we have another one. I'm talking to a man online, and he claims to be working overseas on a construction project. He said the crane broke on the work site, and since he's in charge, he needs $4,000 for a new crane. I want to help him, but do you think he's real or not? He calls me every night. No, he's fake. Any real person who's in charge of a crane, first of all, cranes don't cost $4,000. They cost more than that. If you're talking to somebody online and they're a project manager for a big construction site or a big building project, and they're in charge of this billion-dollar building project, they don't need you to send them thousands of dollars for equipment. They're insured. Their company has millions of dollars. If a crane breaks, the company pays for it. If there's an accident, there's insurance. The company pays for it. The company covers everything. So you're talking to a scammer. He's more than likely going to tell you a story and have you send the money to an agent or some associate. It's going to be the scammer, or it's going to be a victim's bank account. Keep in mind, the majority of us work for companies. We all work for a corporation or a business or a company. Never in my life, and I've worked for a lot of different jobs. I've worked for big corporations. I've worked for small ones. Every place I've worked, they've always been insured. So if you break something, they pay to fix it. I'll give you an example. I worked for a warehousing company where I drove a forklift. I broke the forklift. Guess what? I didn't pay for it. The insurance paid for it. The company paid for it. And so the same applies for these guys who are building buildings and working on roads and working on oil rigs. They're insured. They don't need your money. So just keep it in mind. And it's definitely, Barbara, that's definitely a scammer you're talking to as well. There's another one here we got a few more questions. I was a victim of a scam over 2 years ago. I heard nothing from my scammer or any scammers after it happened, but now I'm getting tons of emails and phone calls from weirdo people wanting to know me and offering me loans and Bitcoin info. Why is this happening now? It does happen, and what happens is sometimes you're the victim of a scam, and it happens, it's done, you block the scammer, you're finished, everything's good to go. A year later, you start getting these weird texts and emails and whatever. What happens is scammers, they keep your information and they recycle old victims' information, and they put it out there again for other people to try and scam. So if you're talking to somebody online, you blocked them, end of the story, and you're starting to get messages from people. It could be the same scammer coming back to try you again after a couple years, and it could be a scammer's friend. Keep in mind, scammers share your information. So if you gave money to a scammer with a fake profile and you blocked him, you're like, I was a victim, I blocked him, I did everything right, and now I'm getting messages. It's because the scammer has shared your information, and he's likely told his scammer friends, hey, this lady gave me $1,000, give her a try something else. Also, a lot of times what happens is the scammers will come back and pretend to be law enforcement. They'll pretend to be police officers or FBI agents, and they're going to investigate your scam. That's what's called a reload scam. And oftentimes in our YouTube channel, we get people that will spam our channel saying, oh, I lost money, but I talked to Mr. Bob Smith at the FBI. Here's his email address, and it's usually an AOL or Gmail or Hotmail, whatever. And he got my money back. Write to him and he'll get your money back. I'm going to say this, and I've said this a million times. Nobody can get your money back. Once money is sent, 99% of the time, the scammers have already spent your money. The only time victims ever get their money back is if they've stopped the Western Union transfer or they've stopped the bank transfer before the scammer gets it. And it's very rare. We've had a handful of people that have been able to get their money back that way. But no one has ever gotten their money back by contacting a special agent or a special investigator or even an anti-scam page. No anti-scam page in their right mind should tell victims that they can get their money back, because it's impossible. So that happens quite often, and we have a lot of victims that are reload scammers. And like I said, scammers share your information. So the best thing you can do is keep blocking the phone calls, keep blocking the weird text messages. Don't respond to them. Don't respond to the emails, and hopefully they just move on. They're just trying to test you out to see if maybe you'll fall for another scam. Does a person's name, Elias Thompson, same story, I didn't help and stop talking. He said he was an independent contractor working for Shell. So a lot of scammers use the excuse that they work for Shell, Exxon, Texaco, Chevron. I'm an oil rig engineer. I work on an oil rig. It's a very, very, very popular profession for scammers using fake profiles to say they do. I will tell you that contractors for Shell, contractors for oil and gas, they're not sitting online talking to people they don't know. They make really good money. They don't need your money. They don't need iTunes cards, gift cards, Amazon cards. So if you're talking to somebody online and they're an oil contractor or anything like that, I'd be very, very, very suspicious of that. And somebody once asked me, why do they choose oil rigs? Why do they choose that? There's a couple reasons. One of them can be an excuse. They can say, well, I'm off on the oil rig, dear. I can't video chat because I'm in the middle of the ocean. And it puts them away from anything civilization-wise. Another reason for it, too, is a lot of people don't know enough about oil rig work to know what it consists of, or what is paid and what's not paid. And so when a scammer says, I'm on an oil rig and I need to come home, I need you to pay for my helicopter flight, a lot of us normal people don't know that they don't pay for their flights. So that's another good excuse. And also, you have to remember, in countries like Ghana and Nigeria, they are oil-rich countries. There are oil rig workers in Nigeria. There are gas and pipeline workers in Nigeria, and that's an actual, not a popular job, but it is a job in Nigeria. So if you're talking to somebody and they're telling you that, it's a known job there. So. Sylvia, what about money mules? I was able to locate my scammer's money mule. She refused to pay me back. She's a real person in Florida. Some money mules are, some money mules work for scammers. And so you might be talking to a woman, and you'll find her. That you're told to send money to this woman in Florida. You go online, you find her, and she says, "Screw you! I'm not giving you your money back." She might be working for the scammer. Or it's possible that the scammer has told her a lie about you and said, oh, this woman that's contacted you, she was my scammer. She tried to scam me. Don't give her any money. She's evil. They spin a lot of stories to their money mule victims. So it could be one of those two things. Unfortunately, you can't force somebody to give them your money back. But if it's a woman in Florida, what I would do if it was sent via Western Union or wire transfer or a bank, I would contact the bank or Western Union or whatever with the information so that they can, work through it, and they can at least trace it and see if her bank account's being used fraudulently. The bank has the power to close her account for that kind of activity. And if she's working for the scammers, then at least you can maybe put a dent in her scamming. But most of the time, I would say probably 85 to 90% of the time, money mules are victims. They're never involved with the scammers. I've only seen a handful of people that scam for a cut of the scammer's money. It's very rare. But the scammer got me to receive money from his dad's friend and wire it to him. I did it once, no more. Then he wanted to do the same with his friend. And keep in mind, too, a lot of scammers will say, can you send money to my dad? And in reality, it's not the dad. It's actually just another victim, and that victim is being told, "My sister's going to send you money," and they say, "Oh, okay." They, like I said, they spin this web of lies, and they use money mules, and victims against each other, and so unfortunately, it happens quite a bit. Diamond buyers and precious stone buyers. Oh yes, that's another very popular profession. I'm a gold buyer, dear. I buy precious gemstones. And there actually is a man, I believe he's from Taiwan. He is a real gemstones dealer, and scammers use his photos. And unfortunately, the real man has an Instagram page with like 45 million followers, and scammers use his profile with him holding gemstones, and they claim to be him, and they make up a fake name. That falls in under, you know, people that work in that kind of industry. Diamond buyers. How many? If you stop and think about it, how many diamond buyers have you met in person in your entire lifetime? How many gold dealers have you actually met in your lifetime? It's very rare. And so, people like that follow their own circles. People that deal with gemstones and diamonds and millions of dollars in jewels, they're not going to be online looking for love the same way they're not going to be looking for love at Walmart. They run in their own circles with their own people. So keep that in mind too when you're talking to. The same goes for doctors and, orthopedic surgeons. They're not going to be on Facebook looking for love. Rose, I lost over 30,000 with the oil rig scam. My retirement money. I've never seen the money again. I'm very sorry to hear that, and unfortunately, you're not alone. It happens, all the time, and it's frustrating because we don't want to see people lose their money or get emotionally scammed either. It's very damaging. We have a couple more questions asked. What is the purpose of robocalling? So, interesting question. Robocalling, they're annoying. I get them every day. I get robocalls on my personal phone damn near every day. A lot of it is with robocalling, you have to remember robocalling is just like the old school emailing was on Yahoo, where they would send 5,000 emails, the same emails to 5,000 people. Robocalling is, it's an automated calling system, and you have to figure that they're calling 10,000 people a day. If 500 of those people answer a robocall and 100 of those people out of the 500 fall for a scam, they've done their job. So robocalling is just the new age thing where mass email used to be the big scam thing. And the purpose of robocalling is, out of the 10,000 calls, if they can get 500 victims, they've got money. And so that's why they do it. It's just a mass spamming on the phone. Verizon launched a new call filter. Why would they do this? And explain what it's about. I have Verizon, and I can tell you what it's about. I got a prompt the other day on my phone. So what it is Verizon and T-Mobile, I believe, has the same thing. They have a new free service called Call Filter, and what it does is it filters spam and robocalls and unknown calls. So you have an option now on Verizon, and I believe T-Mobile, that if you're getting calls from international numbers like +234 and +233, you can block countries, you can block international calls, and you can block suspected scam calls. So why they've done that is to try and cut down on the scam calls. So what you can do is, if you have Verizon as your service, you can go into settings now and you can turn on Call Filter. It's free, and it filters all spam calls, all text now numbers, and Google Voice numbers. It'll actually block those numbers from reaching your phone, from calling you, and it can block international phone calls. It's worth looking into, and the reason they did it is because there's been so many scam calls from scam numbers and free voicemail numbers that now they have the ability that their users can block them, and it's a great feature. If you have it, you should try it. Next question we had is, Valentine's Day is coming. Any scam related to jewelry, flowers, and candy? Yes, of course, and it's the same scam as always. We posted one online tonight of a gentleman who private messaged a target victim and said, I have $250 worth of flowers for you, but I need $50 in money, gas money, to deliver them. Look, if you're talking to somebody online and they really care about you and they want to send you flowers, no man in their right mind or woman would offer to send you flowers, but then ask you for gas money. It's kind of like if you got asked out on a date And the guy says, I want to take you to a restaurant. I've made reservations, but do you have $50 for the food? You wouldn't go on a date with them. So it's the same concept. And so there's a lot of scammers right now that are offering flowers and candy and things for discounts. And I'll bring you flowers if you give me your credit card information. And look, at the end of the day, if someone wants to give you flowers in person, let them, if you know them. But don't fall for online scams where someone says, I want to send you flowers, and I need your credit card number, or I need $25 to process it. It doesn't work that way. So, and Charlotte, you're right. Robocalls are the chain letters of the past. They absolutely are. I can check that Nigerian number for you after we chat, but I can tell you if you're talking to somebody online and they're claiming to be working somewhere or something, and they're on an oil rig and they give you a Nigerian phone number, that's a huge red flag. But I'll happy to check it for you after the chat. So next question, are there any scams related to politics? Yes. Unfortunately, and I hate politics. With this year being an election year in the United States, and we all know what's going on with the politics in this country, it's a total nightmare right now. There are scammers who are, and this happened before when Obama was president, there are scammers pretending to be Donald Trump. There are scammers that are pretending to be Melania. There's scammers pretending to be, all these people that are running for office. What they do, and it's kind of stupid, but people fall for it. Years ago, we had Michelle Obama that was offering to give us millions of dollars if we wrote to her Gmail address. The same concept is happening now with the current president and vice lady, and with current politicians. Scammers are posing as these people. Scammers are posing as politicians, and they're saying, hey, I want to help you. There's this new government grant. There's this new package. There's this new thing. And they're using politicians' names and information, and they're making fake fan pages with these politicians' photos and things, and saying, hey, we can give you this and that. What you need to do is realize that real politicians are not going to give you money. They're not going to ask you for iTunes gift cards. They're not going to ask you for any of this kind of stuff. Whatever your political affiliation is, if you want to donate to political parties, do so on a legit website. Don't do it through somebody on Facebook or somebody who claims to be that person, because it's going to always be a scammer. And so, yes, as this year goes forward with politics, you're going to have more and more scammers pretending to be famous politicians. So don't fall for it. Last question we had were, are there any large corporations involved in scams? Yes, there are. There's all kinds of scams, and we've said this before. Corporations do scams. They do scams on consumers all the time. There's scams, involving, their cars, or scams involving, credit cards and fees. I mean, there's even scams like, you go to Vegas and you book a hotel room and it's $50, but then there's resort fees and all these things, and they charge another $50, $100. There's all types of corporate scams, and they do come out sometimes. But at the end of the day, you are the consumer. So you are kind of in charge of your own destiny. So if something doesn't sound right, sounds too good to be true, sounds off, you have the power to say no. And that goes the same for romance scams. You have the power to tell people no. And not enough people do that. I ask victims, why did you send money? Well, because I felt like I felt sad. And you have the power to say no. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. The scammer doesn't care about your feelings, so say no. Don't be afraid to say no to people. I got a phone call today. I looked at the number and the area code was real, but the number was not. Is this an international number? I'd have to call it and find out. Sometimes scammers use spoofing numbers where they're actually calling you from an app, and so they can type in whatever number they want, and it comes out on the app as whatever. Like if you've ever gotten a phone call from like 555-0000, it's a spoofing app that people use, and so that happens a lot. It's likely probably a spoofed number that a scammer or some kind of corporation is trying to scam you. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us. I will check that Nigerian phone number for you. Yeah, Social Security and IRS scams are growing. Let's talk about that. It's tax time in America. People are getting their tax refunds. and they're owing. And so the IRS is contacting you via Facebook and Instagram and on your phone. Keep in mind the real IRS sends letters, and scammers have even sent fake letters to people. So if you've gotten a letter from the IRS, or you're not sure, take it to your local IRS or your tax office and have them look at it. Also, the IRS is not going to call you and tell you that they're going to throw you in jail. Social Security does not call you on the phone and ask for your information. They send you a letter. And with the IRS, if you owe money, they're going to get in touch with you, and they're going to do it via postal mail, official letter, and you're going to be able to check that. So keep that in mind this time of year, especially with tax time. And also scammers, we don't think about this, but scammers will go on ahead and they know it's tax time. Even though the scammer might be in a place like Indonesia or Thailand or Nigeria, they know that the United States, we file our taxes this time of year and we get refunds. And so they're going to hit you up for money in the spring because they know some of us get, pretty big refunds depending on your situation. So be very vigilant. Becky, you get phone calls from your own number. That's usually someone using a computer to spoof your number. I've gotten phone calls from my own phone number as well. It's kind of eerie. Just don't answer them. Just send it to voicemail or spam it. One thing I want to address really quickly that someone brought up with me, and I figured out, someone showed me how it works. So you're talking to somebody online, and let's say, whatever, they're a military guy, and they call you on the phone, and I've had victims tell me, well, no, he doesn't sound like he's from Nigeria. He doesn't sound like he's from Ghana. He doesn't have an accent. He sounds American. How does that work? Well, there is a couple of new voice apps out there now, and some of them are on the Play Store and the Apple Store, that actually mask your accent. So if you're talking to somebody online, it's kind of like similar to one of those old school voice changers that you used to talk like a robot or talk really high. There's an app out there that allows people to speak, and it actually digitalizes their voice to come out like they don't have an accent. So we've gotten a few videos and a few calls, voicemails from people that have said, listen, this is the guy I'm talking to. And you listen, and he doesn't have an accent. He sounds like an American. But if you listen very, very closely, it's very difficult to do, but you can hear a little bit of a robotic kind of background to it. And what that is a new app that actually masks your accent. And it's a little scary because, scammers can use that to call you and say, oh, I'm from California, let me call you. And they almost sound like I do. Like I spend most of my life in California. So they don't have that accent. But if you listen carefully, and I'm going to try to make some videos showing how this app works, you can hear, like I said, a little bit of a robotic tinge to it. And so you can tell it's an app. But a lot of people are falling for that. And so we've had a lot of victims say to us, he didn't have an accent. And it's true that he didn't have an accent, but it was a voiceover from an app. So it's just another tool that scammers are now using, and unfortunately people are falling for it. And what I tell people is the same I tell people all the time. At the end of the day, no matter what they sound like, no matter if you've seen them on video, it's what they're asking of you. What do they want from you? That's what matters. So even if they didn't have an accent, even if you saw them on camera, even if everything matched up, they're from Texas and they had a Texas phone number and they called you from that number, what did they ask of you? Oh, well, they asked for my bank account. Oh, they asked for my personal information. They asked for my passport. They asked for a copy of my ID. They asked me to open a bank account and asked me to send $1,000 and buy them an iTunes card. It's a scammer. No matter what all the factors were before that, if they ask you for things, it's a scammer. So don't give away and don't send things no matter what they sound like. And they manipulate you emotionally before they ask for things. And if you're talking to somebody online and they ask you for money, no matter if they're if you're on Hangouts with them, if you're on WhatsApp, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, if you video chatted with them, doesn't matter. If they ask you for anything, money, gift cards, your bank details, your ID, your passport, your personal information, what's your date of birth and your social security number? A normal person doesn't ask you that, especially somebody you've never met in person. So if they're asking for any of these things, they're a scammer. If they're asking for Steam cards, somebody asked me, what are Steam cards? Steam cards are basically they're like gift cards for game players. So what scammers do is they ask for these Steam cards. They come in 50 to 100 to $500 denominations. They take the numbers off the back, and then they go on gaming sites where people play like World of Warcraft and all these like RPG games, and they sell these cards to gamers. So if they get $100 gift card from you, they're going to sell this card online to a gamer for $75, for $50, and they're going to make money. And that's what they do with those Steam cards. And some use them to buy movies and music and things like that, but the majority of them sell them. And a lot of them are being sold on a site called Twitch, which is a very popular site for game players, people that play video games all the time to hang out and they play their games on, and they have a lot of chat box and things like that, and that's where scammers are selling these cards, and they also post them online. So, somebody's asking you for these cards. If they ask you for Amazon cards and things like that, it's a scam. Google Play cards, any kind of card online, it's a scam. And we've had scammers ask for ridiculous things like Pizza Hut gift cards. Well, what they do with those cards is you buy a Pizza Hut gift card for a fake profile. That fake profile turns around with another profile and goes ahead and gives a victim a pizza, and then asks that victim for $10,000. And so that's what they're doing with them. Just keep in mind, scammers don't spend their own money to scam people. They use other people's gift cards and things they've gotten. So, and one question we had is, when you find out somebody's a scammer, should you confront them? The answer to that is always no. And I've had a lot of victims come to me and say, oh, I'm going to go after him, and then I'm going to show him the post you guys did with his stolen photos. Don't do that. Because the scammers come after us. They report our page, they report us, and they try to get us shut down. And I've always told people the same thing I'll always say. You don't know who is behind that fake profile. So many of us think that scammers are, 21-year-old dumb kids from wherever, and they're scamming for $50. It couldn't be further from the truth. Well, yes, there are young scammers, and there's scammers that are 15, 16, 20, 21 years old that are using the scamming money to buy new Nike shoes and bullshit. There are tons of scammers out there, and I'd say probably over half of them that are professional career criminals. They buy sports cars, they buy houses, they buy plane tickets, they have passports, they have bank accounts with more money in them than I make all year working. You don't know who's behind these fake profiles, and scammers are just like regular criminals. There's really good ones, and there's really bad ones, and there's really dumb ones. So at the end of the day, when you're talking to someone, you find out they're a scammer, don't confront them, because you don't know who they are. And I've said this before, and people tend to get a little upset with me when I say this, but people get this notion that scammers are stupid. And it's further from the truth. Scammers are very educated. There are some that know how to do coding. There's some that know how to do hacking. They know how to do bank accounts. They know how to make fake websites better to look better than the real ones. There are a lot of professional scammers out there who make a lot of money doing what they do. And so when you tease a scammer and say, aha, I know who you are, I'm going to post you on, on an anti-scam site, I'm going to come after you, they get angry and they will go after you. They'll go after me. They'll go after Ann. They'll go after you. So the best advice I can give you is don't confront the scammer. Block them. Don't play with them unless you are a professional scam baiter and you know what you're doing and you have the software to protect yourself. By all means, hey, if you know what you're doing, fine. But if you're just a regular person, who doesn't know what these scammers are capable of, you've never had your phone hacked, you've never had your computer hacked, you've never been threatened with your life, don't play with these scammers, because there are some that are really, really, really nasty. And Debbie, I'll give you the information about the voice changing apps. I'm going to actually post them probably tonight online just to make everybody aware of them. There's several of them, and most of them are free. So I will post them and let you guys know about them. But a lot of scammers are using them now, and I've got a video that I'm going to make that hopefully you guys can hear how it works, and hopefully you can hear the robotic voice in it. So, but I think that's all the questions I had emailed to me for tonight. Yeah, that's about it for questions that were emailed. If you guys have questions in the chat, I'm happy to answer them. I'm going to upload this Q&A to our YouTube channel, Scamming Scammers, later on tonight. So if you guys missed it, it'll be uploaded on there. And then, as I said, we'll be doing a longer Q&A on the 24th. It was sometime in the afternoon or evening. So, Sophie, what about contacting the real person whose photos have been stolen? Thank you for bringing that up. Don't do it. Don't contact the person. Here's the thing. I've had so many victims come to me and say, I want to know who the real man is. I want to contact him. I want to tell him his photos are stolen. I want to tell him he's the most handsome man ever and that I fell in love with his photo and blah, 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 blah. So here it is. What happens is, if the photo is stolen from somebody that's really popular, like Dr. Pinto, then I can say to you, that's Dr. Pinto's photo. Here's his Instagram page. He has 70 million followers. You can, if you want to contact him, go for it. He probably won't reply to you, but this is the real man. What happens is, if we don't know who the man in the photo is, people go on this quest, and they go on this quest to find the real man in the photo. I had a victim last week that was obsessed with the, I'm going to say it, she was obsessed with the man in the photo. And I told her, I don't know who he is, but I've seen his photo before. It was a soldier. I said, you know, it could be any soldier or stolen photo. What she did is she went on this obsessive quest to find this man and let him know his photos were stolen and let him know that she fell in love with his photo, and she just wanted to let him know he's so handsome and she's so sorry that scammers have stolen his photo. So she ended up finding the real man in the photo. She found 17 different profiles with this real man's photo. And I told her every single one of those are fake. And she got mad at me, and she came back again the next day and she said, I found him. I found the real man. And so she sent me his profile, and I said, well, what did he say to you? And she says, oh, he said that I was very beautiful and that, you know, he was very sorry that I was the victim of a scam and that he too is single and he's so sorry scammers use his photos. Guess what? She was talking to another fake pretending to be the real man. So when people try to warn the real man in the photo, most of the time they end up finding more scammers pretending to be the real man, and then they get scammed again. Or what has happened in the past as well is they found the real man in the photo. They contacted the real man in the photo, and the real man in the photo told them to go to hell. Don't contact me, don't bother me, or they just get blocked. I don't advise, and Anne will say the same thing, we don't advise you to look for the man in the photo. Because what happens is, A, you'll get a bunch of scammers pretending to be the real man, or B, you'll find the real man and he will tell you off. The reality is, and it has never happened in the history of ever doing this, has anyone found the real man in the photo and the real man fell in love with you? That will never happen. Now, with that being said, if you just want to warn him that his photos are being stolen, he can do nothing about it. And most times victims of photo theft already know that their photos are stolen. And there's nothing they can do. They can't get them back. They can't stop the scammer from stealing them. And so they get angry because you're probably the 500th person that has messaged them and told them that, hey, your photos are stolen. Did you know they're stolen? You need to stop it. There's nothing they can do. And so I tell people, you know, to block the fake profile and move forward. And realize that the person in the photo never loved you, they never knew who you were, and they more than likely don't want to talk to you. Most of the photos that are stolen are of married men. Some of them are, or a lot of them are gay men that they steal the photos from, and then they also steal photos of dead soldiers. So everyone has their own reason as far as why they want to find the man in the photo, but whatever reason you have, it's not advisable to do it, because you're either going to get heartbroken, you're going to get scammed again, or you're going to get told off, or you're going to get blocked. Most times the men in the photos don't want to be found. They don't want to be contacted. And so that's a reality of it. And in fact, there's one soldier, he's a very popular, very handsome, fit soldier who constantly shows topless photos of himself in his underwear weightlifting. And he's got millions of Instagram followers, and he has thousands of scammers who use his photo, and hundreds of thousands of women who throw themselves at him all the time saying, I was scammed by your photo, but I think you're handsome, I have to have you. he tells those people that they're stupid. He tells those people they're idiots. He makes fun of them. And so that's another downside to it too. The real man in the photo might be a kind of an asshole, and he'll just tell you you're an idiot. And so you need to keep that in mind as well. Um, you know, a lot of these people that are victims of photo theft know that their photos are stolen, and there's not a damn thing they can do about it. And there's nothing you can do that's going to help the situation by contacting them. So that's our opinion as far as finding the man in the photo. That's up to you, but do realize the dangers of doing it and the disappointment of doing it. So that's our opinion on that. But if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll close this Q&A for our Valentines, and then we'll have another Q&A on the 24th. So if you guys want to join me on the 24th, we'll do another Q&A. A couple people have asked me when we're going to do more YouTube videos. I try to do one a week at this point because I am working a lot. I work like 60 hours a week, and so I'm not always available to make the YouTube channel videos as much as I would like. We used to do 3 a week. Now we're down to 1 a week. And I will try to do more country lady chats. I had one last week, but I haven't been on because I've been working so much. So, but I appreciate you guys, you know, giving us positive feedback on the YouTube channel as well. I'm not able to answer all the commentary and questions on YouTube all the time because we get hundreds and thousands of comments every day on there. And so I only get on there a couple days a week, but I appreciate it. Sue, I think he already knows because his wife mentioned it before. His pictures are stolen years ago. That's another thing. Keep in mind that a lot of these photos of these soldiers and these people are stolen from 10, 15 years ago. We had a lady bring us a fake soldier profile, and she said, he's in Iraq, he's deployed. And I looked at the uniform, and we have 2 people that we consult that are ex-military for our page. And the lady I talked to, she was actually in Afghanistan and Iraq, and she said, those uniforms are 15 years old. Those uniforms are 20 years old. They're from, 2003 almost. So keep in mind, scammers steal soldiers' photos, and some of these photos are 15, 20 years old. The uniforms are long retired. So you just have to remember that. And again, at the end of the day, it's what the person asks from you, and don't give away things to strangers. So thanks for everyone joining me tonight. Anne says hi to everybody, wishes you all well. She's resting for tonight. And again, we'll be back on the 24th. I'll give the time and date as it gets closer, and we'll do our bigger Q&A where we last a little bit longer with some more questions. So I appreciate you guys. If you missed this video, we'll be uploading it to YouTube tonight. So thanks again for joining us. I appreciate all you guys, and I hope you guys have a happy Valentine's Day. Don't fall for scammers, and be safe. So thanks again. We'll see you guys at the end of the month, and take care. Happy Valentine's Day. Bye.